I'm in a very unique position because I went through, the formal education system, aka university here in the UK, and I got my degree. I graduated in graphic design. I realized quickly that there were certain things that university was not going to teach me simply because the outside world really moves quicker than the curriculum that university has, especially for graphic designers. So I really had both perspective, and I've been lucky enough throughout this journey going through university, and now that it's been almost like a year since I graduated, I work with more than 400 brands to this point. The little success that I've been able to have come from me recognizing that there was a flawed system compared to a new one that was evolving quicker and going at a faster pace than the one that I was indoctrinated with in university. That gave me a rare experience because I got to see firsthand how outdated and flawed the education system is when it comes to graphic design and where it really fails. A quick example that comes to my mind is that they never really taught us how to approach being an independent graphic designer. It always felt like university was a funnel for us to go from students and more competent graphic designers gain a degree and transition to work for companies and agencies. So that's how I always felt, and which was quite odd at first. Once that thought settled in my mind that this is what I was supposed to do, I felt like really off within myself. So I made it almost my mission to figure out how to do graphic design independently. And half of the time that I wasn't in university or going to my coursework and attending lessons, I was researching into different niches. I was researching what niches pay the most. I was researching how to find clients without going on Upwork and Fiverr. And I also how not to be the type of graphic designer that was always in on meetings and was caught in revisions, etc. So I was really trying to nail down like what this design thing is. And also I had a very limited time because I was about to finish university. Okay, I was in kind of like in my last year that I really said I need to speed this stuff up. I was researching, I was really trying to streamline everything that I could see flawed in the graphic design that people out there were doing it like, right? Besides that, I was making sure and I made sure that the niche and the industry that I was going in and the clients that I was going to work with, they were going to pay me very well. Because to be honest, I wasn't doing it for fun. Like I knew that I was going in because I wanted to make a living out of it. I believe the main reason that I was able to go from zero to becoming a six-figure designer was because of the system and the unconventional way I decided to do it. And I realized early on that they were teaching stuff that was outdated. So even in class, I would sit there and listen to the lectures thinking, why are we spending so many hours learning about, history, which by the way is good to know why certain things in graphic design are done a certain way because they have a history, okay? So that's good to learn. But if majority of time is spent doing that, really missing on the action that is going around us that is actively affecting our industry, which at the time AI wasn't as as strong as it is now or relevant. But I always felt like okay, we're missing on a lot of stuff. And besides the actual technicality of stuff, but nobody was showing us how to build a personal brand or how to be an independent designer, or close a client or get a clients. There was like a very strong disconnect that sticked with me. And by the way, this is not a video to kind of like really go in about university. There's positive things that I learn and there's so many friendships that I built from university. So we're gonna go into kind of like the pros and cons of both paths. By the way, it really depends on your goals because my goal was to hit 10K a month as quickly as possible. Okay. And my goal wasn't to work my way up through an agency or like a design company and go to the 95 career ladder. That was really not my thing, to start on a very low wage and make my way up. It might be for you, but it wasn't for me at the time. Hence why I was really invested into my self-learning. So the pros of university. So being in university and going through graphic design as a course really gave me peace of mind. Somehow I would have gotten my degree. You could get through the 3 years. So that really gave me peace of mind. So there's so many other things outside, by the way, the course as a graphic design that really impacted me, when it comes to going to university. By the way, it was my first ever time moving away from my family, and I had my own space and whatnot. So that really, in a way, helped me to grow. So those are the pros as well. The facilities that they had and also the equipment that they had. We had everything. Like everything that you can imagine, the newest MacBooks, Adobe softwares were included in our course. We'd never had to pay for any of that. We had so many, workshops that we could do, So for facilities and equipment, we really had that. I guess the tuition was paying for that. I made really good friends, There was many, many talented graphic designers that I'm still friends with till this day. And I do collab here and there with them. My best friends are literally people that I got to know from that course. The real transformation really came from what I did outside of it. There's one thing every designer who went to university will tell you. They will never teach what actually currently is working. And also they won't teach you how to get clients. Like I said early on, it's really like a funnel for you to go into the 95 working for an agency type thing. And by the way, there's so many people that came out of university and did their own thing. Fair enough. But the majority of the curriculum is into building your CV, building your portfolio to showcase and maybe get a job. Okay. So that was the main narrative, which I guess is the safe path for many people. And the reason why I guess they were not going into teaching how to get clients is because if you understood how to get clients while you were still in university, you wouldn't care as much about the curriculum and you realize, okay, cool. Perhaps I could do this on my own. They need to keep you on the course, okay? So otherwise, you wouldn't even finish it. From my experience and my self-learning and figuring it out and being able to kind of like scale to more than 400 clients and building a system that is organic. I don't spend no money on ads. Everything comes from a personal brand, what I've been able to do organically. They do mention it, but very like really briefly, I think there was probably like a lesson around, how to be independent graphic designer. And that's really about it. Then of course you graduate and you're left to figure out the rest on your own. So university teaches you the theory, not the practical side, okay? You will learn, color theory, grades, the history of design, but know how to really price your work, talk to clients, retain them, and there was not focused on being independent. So it's almost like they prepare you for a museum, but not the marketplace. So like you could see a certain typeface and you could say, okay, cool, this is a sans serif and whatnot, but if you have no use case of like knowing that or like applying that because you was not thought how to get the clients that are gonna, be inquiring about a certain typeface. And I found that to be really like a major gap. And by the way, like I get it, education like is its own system, it's not built for practicality, especially not for like business. Like I understand that the industry moves so fast that they can't keep up. Okay, especially online, it's just really hard to keep up, and there's no way that they can update the curriculum every 6 months to reflect what exactly working today. I said, okay, cool. If I was ever to figure out the path for myself and being able, which I did, to get to that point where like I'm self-sufficient, I've been able to scale to more than 6 figures with my designpreneur business, that I would recognize all these little things and I would not do them for the negative stuff that I recognize and do the positive stuff that I kind of recognize from that as well. So like I was saying, like I'm in a very lucky position simply because of that, because it was an experience for me to really learn all of this and apply it for myself and for my designpreneur business. The reason why I keep saying like I have a unique experience is because amongst designers, you really don't have the ones that have done both. They've been able to go through the education system and at the same time kind of like pivot, and not go into like working for an agency, etc. But they've been able to just do it on them by themselves and also doing like organically. So it's a very, very like peculiar viewpoint I'm coming from, and it gives me so much perspective, and I can see many designers that come to me for advice. And this is a little sneak peek, by the way. There's loads of designers that come to me for advice. The reason why I have this in my hand, you find out on my social media on Instagram and stuff, but I'm just gonna flash it in quickly and just put it away. Like I was saying, there's designers, that come to me and they might be in a position, they're going through the education system or they're just about to approach university and they don't know if they should enroll into it or they should take, the independent route. So they come to me for advice. And the main thing that I kind of like say is you need to make that decision for yourself. Of course, I can't make that for you. You have to realize first of all, how quick do you want to get to your final goal of being successful as a graphic designer? And what is your stress tolerance as well? Because I won't lie to you, like, it's not easy to work with so many brands and running your own thing. Like, it's not easy at all. But for me, it was worth it. For how quickly I was able to build something for myself, it was really worth, okay? So one path is the one of you can go through the career ladder and trying to make it to the top, or of course take the independent route and build something for yourself that you kind of can own as well. And it's not easy, and I'll tell you that, like, it was not easy, but for what it is, how you're able to work on your own timing and how you're able to really own what you have and work, for example, like January, which was my best month, the last week or so, I was like away, I wasn't even in the country. So, and I was still working, I was still fulfilling my client work, I was still making profit, and it was great. It really did feel great. And that is only a result of me building a system and learning from YouTube and lucky enough you watching this as well. So, and how stuff turned out for me, it was, the best possible outcome, okay, that I could even wish for, I could even imagine. So once again, it's not easy, but is straightforward, okay? And education is kind of slow, but it does feel safer. And that's the feeling that I have. You really have to choose based on what kind of life and business that you want for yourself. Education made me wait for grades, made me wait for approval, made me wait for to be qualified and whatnot. But being independent, being a designpreneur, didn't make me wait for anything. It took one video for me to get a crazy amount of clients. It took me posting, me actually doing stuff to be rewarded. Okay. So yeah, business rewards speed. So yeah, and I chose speed. I chose self-investment. I chose systems. So, and I feel like everybody can as well, but it really does depend on who you are and what your situation is.